Hey, Steph, good morning to you. And here's where we're going to begin. We're expecting yet another stay-at-home order announced across the province. Yesterday, we heard from the Premier warning about these new variants of concern being on the rise, as well as ICU admissions.
The game is changing, and we need to shift our response to stay ahead of this virus. That's why we implemented a province-wide emergency brake to slow the spread of the virus and give us time to get more needles in arms.
And the province-wide stay-at-home order is expected to be announced today, which sources say could be in place for a month. And there are more restrictions expected as well, including a ban on in-person shopping at non-essential stores and a closure of non-essential aisles in big box stores. We haven't seen that yet. Now, the move comes after top doctors in Toronto, Peel, and Ottawa issuing a letter calling on the province for tougher public health measures. And we are standing by live right now outside of Queen's Park. The Premier is expected to make this announcement at some point today. We won't know till about 7 this morning when the timing will be for this announcement. Likely, these restrictions will be going into effect, though, within the next 24 to 48 hours. So do stay with us on this. Here's one thing that we do know is that all schools in Toronto will be going online as of today. So this announcement was made from Public Health. It comes just one day after the Toronto District School Board, as well as the Catholic Board, announcing over 20 school closures, all because of outbreaks. Those two Toronto boards alone accounting for more than 30% of all active COVID cases within Ontario schools. And while the province has maintained that schools are safe, an education expert telling CityNews reporter Shauna Hunt a longer closure of schools in hotspots is necessary to slow fast-spreading variants.
It would have been more justified a few months ago to say schools aren't a big driver of the virus. I mean, that's still true, but now that we're dealing with more frightening strains of the virus, even the small amount of transmission that's happening in schools probably needs to be considered differently.
And also starting today, the Dufferin-Peel Catholic District School Board is moving a few of their schools online due to outbreaks. So this is them: St. Andrew, St. Benedict, and St. Peter Catholic Elementary Schools that are all in Orangeville. They're going to be shutting their doors for in-person learning. Classes there, as well as in Toronto, remaining closed until at least April the 19th. Meanwhile, the union representing Ontario's elementary teachers is calling for the immediate vaccination of education workers. ETFO will be hosting a virtual press conference at 9:30 this morning, sharing their concerns about school safety. But before that, Union President Sam Hammond will be joining us live right here on Breakfast Television just after 7 o'clock. And as we know, educators are part of phase 2 when it comes to the province's vaccination plan. But a lot of people saying that this strategy needs to change to prioritize high-risk essential workers. So essential workers we're talking about, like teachers as well as factory workers, are already part of phase 2 plans, but they're not going to be getting their shots until mid-May. The province has been criticized for having millions of doses sitting in freezers. But Premier Ford says the vaccines in storage are already spoken for. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the Premier talking yesterday about the province's vaccine plan. Trudeau says the federal government is ready to help ease the burden that any province is facing.
The provinces in general have been very clear that they feel that the vaccination is something that they are able to handle on their own. But as always, we have a Team Canada approach. And if anyone needs extra help, the federal government will be there, as we have from the very beginning.
And the Prime Minister also taking to Twitter, promising 1 million doses from Pfizer once a week during April and May, in addition to shipments from Moderna and AstraZeneca. Canada is still waiting on Johnson & Johnson's first vaccine delivery, which is scheduled to arrive by the end of the month. And while we're talking about AstraZeneca, clinical trials on kids, well, they have been paused in the UK due to blood clot concerns. So here's what we know. The University of Oxford saying there were no safety concerns with the pediatric trial, but they are waiting for more data on rare blood clotting issues from the UK drugs watchdog. Oxford partnering with a pharmaceutical company to create the shot for children and teens. Canada is one of several countries using the shot, but have limited use of this vaccine to older adults. To Japan now, the Olympic torch run has been canceled in Osaka, and this is due to record COVID infections. Government officials have declared a state of emergency, fearing a fourth wave has arrived in the country just 107 days before the Tokyo Olympics are set to begin. The region reporting 878 new infections today, a second straight day of record numbers. And we are learning this morning that we could get some more information today about that crash that severely injured golf legend Tiger Woods. So TMZ reporting this, that the crash was caused by excessive speed. The LA County Sheriff's Department is expected to release their findings at some point this morning. Tiger suffering serious leg injuries after the February 23rd crash. He told first responders that he had no memory of the incident and no drugs or alcohol found in his possession. The golf legend is still recovering in Florida. All right, coming up next, Restaurants Canada saying Ontario's shutdown of outdoor dining costing the industry $100 million. So the question here, will the Ford government pick up the tab? We're going to ask that question to 680 senior business editor Mike Epple. He is coming up next.